Welcome to Aging on the Suncoast. I'm your host, Jason Martino. On a daily basis, many seniors face malnutrition or hunger issues. Older adults with limited incomes and homebound seniors make critical decisions regarding being faced with purchasing food or covering other expenses such as medications or housing expenses. These individuals also face isolation and lack access to food resources such as grocery stores or food pantries due to a lack of transportation or food deserts. Isolation and a lack of access to food continues to be a very real issue. The Area Agency on Aging of Pasco and Pinellas partners with organizations that serve seniors within their home and within the community. Without these partners, we could not achieve our shared vision of promoting independence and better nutrition while we work to eliminate senior hunger. To help us understand what types of resources are available for better nutrition and de-isolation, we've invited Anita Frankhauser, the Director of Nutrition with Neighborly Care Network, located in Pinellas County, and Josephine Benson, the Senior Services Assistant Manager with Pasco County Senior Services. Later in the show, Anita and Josephine will rejoin us so we can celebrate volunteerism and showcase the need of how critical these individuals are to nutrition programs. Anita, welcome back to Aging on the Suncoast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks. And a new face on our show this time is Miss Josephine Benson, and we welcome you with open arms as well.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. So, Josephine, I'm gonna start with you, and I like to have our viewers just kind of understand the organizations that we work with on a daily basis, and who better to start with you that you've had a long tenure with Pasco County Senior Services. So, give us a good understanding of who Pasco County Senior Services is and what you do.
Sure. Pasco County Senior Services has been established since 1977. We provide senior services to all seniors within Pasco County. We are also a part of county government. We fit under the Community Services Division. There are actually 3 divisions under Community Services. That is Senior Services, Human Services, and Misdemeanor Probations. Community Services also is an umbrella under the Public Services branch of county government.
Yeah, that's a lot. I know you got a pretty big job over there. There's a lot of seniors that live in Pasco County. 33% of the population of folks in Pasco County is 60 and older. But not that everybody's going to be getting services from your team, but I know that you serve a lot of people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Anita, tell us all about Neighborly Care Network and who they are and what they do.
Yeah, Neighborly Care Network has been around since 1966. We were actually one of the first Meals on Wheels and Adult Day Center programs in the area. And we've since continued that legacy. In addition to our nutrition programs, we have the 3 adult day centers and the transportation program that takes people to medical appointments, and also to our adult day centers and congregate sites.
Yeah, and they do some shopping trips too, don't they? Yeah. Both doing great work, great organizations. The Area Agency on Aging has a long-standing relationships with you all. And we can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing each and every day. And the volunteers, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on today. Let's set the stage a little bit, Josephine. And I want to go back to some of your expertise. I talked a little bit in my opening of the show about food deserts and lack of access to food, and it's a term that we use pretty commonly. It's called food insecurity. I know that term is no stranger to you. What is food insecurity?
Food insecurity is just that, not having access to nutritious food, whether it's lack of transportation, lack of resources to get to that food, or having the funds to purchase that food.
Yeah, having lack of access to that, and it's varying degrees of how that occurs, you know?
Yes.
You mentioned it too, lack of transportation or money to purchase it. And it's probably very similar, but what does food insecurity look like in Pinellas County?
Yeah, a lot of our clients say that the closest place to get food might only be a fast food restaurant or convenience store, and a lot of people don't drive anymore, so taking the bus, carrying groceries from the bus stop, that's just really not feasible. And they also can't afford to take taxis or other public transportation if they're on a limited or fixed income. Yeah. So it's just affordability and feasibility for our clients.
That makes great sense.
Yeah.
Josephine, anything different in Pasco County that Anita talked to?
Very similar situations. Pasco County has a lot of rural areas. There's no place for a person to access that food. Like Anita said, a lot of people do no longer drive, and we do have transportation to get seniors out to get their food, but it's very limited.
Yeah, that's a good point. Rurality plays a big factor in
Yes.
food insecurity on there as well. Pinellas County really doesn't have any percentage of land that's considered to be rural, but Pasco obviously does.
Absolutely.
And those are the types of folks that we want to attract to this program, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Before we really get into the nuts and bolts of all the cool things that you do, Anita, I want to kind of tap into your expertise, and I want to talk about diets and nutrition in the senior population. And I know that you work with us on a daily basis, being a licensed dietary nutritionist. Tell us what dietary considerations seniors have to take in consideration for good nutrition.
Yeah, well, eating naturally changes as you get older. Your appetite changes, your ability to taste things changes, and then that can lead to decreased appetite and malnutrition if it's not addressed. So a lot of our clients also are managing chronic diseases, so they need to rely on a nutritious diet to complement any medical advice from their doctors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, I don't take for granted that I can eat just about anything that I really want to, but as I get older, I will be sensitive to that with your help and my long-standing working relationship with you all. So now let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts of really what you do on a daily basis and how you are promoting better nutrition with the populations that you're serving. So I know from my experience of working with the Older Americans Act, came out in 1965, been amended a couple different times. It's really what kickstarted nutrition programs across the United States. Matter of fact, Neighborly, back then they were called Neighborly Senior Services, was one of the first beneficiaries of some of the federal funding for what they called home delivered meals and Meals on Wheels. Great piece of legislation, opens the door for a lot of different things. And you all know this by like the back of your hand as well. So Josephine, I'm going to start with you. One of the bigger programs that you do, and I know that Anita does in Pinellas County as well, is called Home Delivered Meals. And can you tell us a little bit about what Home Delivered Meals is?
Sure. Home delivered meals is when a client gets meals delivered to their home. To qualify for this program, you have to be at age 60, somewhat frail and homebound. Your spouse can also qualify for this program, regardless of their age, or if the individual that's receiving the meals has a disabled individual, there you can also qualify for those meals.
Yeah.
To be delivered to their home.
Yeah, but a majority, if not all, the seniors that you're serving in that program are considered homebound, meaning that they
Yes.
don't have
Somewhat
access
frail
like you and I.
homebound.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Walk us through one of your typical days. You know, do you create your own food? Is food delivered? How do you process? How do you start your day to serve the people that are homebound?
On a typical day, our food is delivered to our location around 7:30 in the morning.
Early day.
We pack the meals and separate all the components and get it ready for the home delivery process. We also utilize volunteers to help deliver these meals, and the driver comes and takes those meals and pack them and put them in their vehicles and deliver them to the client's home.
Yep, and for safety concerns, I know there's a lot of rules and regulations that you guys follow to do it best and as well. Sticking with you, Josephine, congregate meals, and my understanding is a little bit different than home delivery meals. What's that about?
Sure. Our congregate meal service, we actually have 4 locations. To qualify for the congregate meal, you have to be age 60 and just register. You're allowed to register and sign up and let the person know that you want to have a meal 5 days out of the week. At the congregate location, we also provide activities for seniors to enjoy. It also gives them an opportunity for socialization, to be with other seniors, and sometimes they even go on little outings or trips within the community.
That's pretty cool. So there's it's one way to help our seniors de-isolate. They get to sit
Absolutely.
down with folks from their own cohort, participate in activities, and then get a pretty cool meal as well. Is the operations of that, is that very similar to your home delivered meal?
Very similar. We have volunteers that help plate up the food, maybe serve the food to the clients. They even wrap silverware and just make sure that everybody's comfortable while they're there.
I bet they do so much
Yes.
for both of those programs over there. And we're going to talk about that later because we want to highlight how important these individuals are. Need anything different about the home delivered meal program or the congregate program in Pinellas County that different than Josephine said?
It's pretty similar. I know our volunteers that deliver the hot daily meals try to leave between 10:30 and 11 just to make sure that clients get that hot lunch right around lunchtime,
Yeah.
before 1 o'clock.
Can I assume that having a delivery driver drop off a meal at that door is also a good safety way to offer a good set of eyes on that person that may not have somebody there?
Absolutely. We've actually had some of our drivers save a client's life. I recall a few years back, one of our home delivery drivers was out delivering meals, and on this particular day, the client did not come to the door to receive their meals. But this was strange and unusual because this client was always home to receive their meals. So our driver knew that something was wrong. Fortunately, this client lived in an apartment complex, so the driver decided to go to the apartment manager to gain entry into the client's home. Thank God he did, because inside the home, the client had fallen in a tub and was unable to get up.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I brought it up. I'm pretty sure you have some testimonies like that as well in Pinellas County, where that extra set of eyes could have been the difference between life or death for some of our clientele. Counseling, nutrition counseling. I know just from working with you that you provide a couple different things. We're going to talk about the education piece behind that as well. But counseling, what is nutrition counseling, and where does that really benefit the clients that you serve, Anita?
Yeah, nutrition counseling is a one-on-one service with our clients where a registered dietitian will work with them to teach them how to use food as medicine to help them meet or address their health issues. We'll talk about, for example, with diabetes, we might talk about what foods have the highest carbohydrates and then how they can manage their blood sugar by maybe adding more protein or adding more fiber, and then how to look for added sugar in a lot of processed foods.
Yeah, and I think you talked about dietary considerations, and having professionals help them navigate what that really looks like is a pretty cool asset to your programs, and I'm glad that you are able to offer it. On the other side of things, you do nutrition education. What does nutrition education look like in your world?
Yeah, we provide nutrition education monthly to everyone. For the homebound clients, they get a handout on a specific topic of the month, and I plan all of these topics to make sure that they're relative and important to older adults, like bone health or heart health. This month, for example, is National Nutrition Month. It's the last day of the month. So we went around to all the senior cafes and we did live demos, and we made mocktails to show people fun ways to use fruit in different ways to just add to their diet. And so using frozen fruit, for example, in a drink could flavor your water, but it also chills the drink, and then you have this fun snack at the end once the fruit has softened.
What a great activity that you're doing with them. So Josephine, anything different with nutrition counseling and nutrition education in Pasco County?
It's very similar to what Anita said. We provide a nutrition education newsletter to all our clients once a month. The driver delivers it when they deliver their meals. These newsletters are reviewed by a nutritionist who works for the Pasco County Health Department. Her name is Maria.
Yeah.
And it's very similar.
Yep. So you got some uber professionals on top of that, not
Yes.
only for home delivered meals and for congregate meals, but also for the nutrition counseling and the education. Josephine, I think you kind of showcased a little bit earlier, but might as well do it again. I don't want our viewers to screen themselves out, but what's the eligibility factors for these nutrition programs?
Sure. The eligibility factors for this nutrition program, the criteria have to be age 60, somewhat frail and homebound for our home delivery services. As far as the congregate meal service, you just have to be 60 and register.
And what's the cost? Well, how much do people have to pay for these programs here?
You receive these meals at no cost. Donations are asked, but they're not required. So if a person wants to provide a donation, they can, but they receive these meals absolutely at no cost.
Yeah, and I know that one of the requirements that you do is you do an assessment on some of these folks, and there's a benefit of doing that assessment because there might be other things. Can you speak a little bit to the assessment and maybe the process of it and what good things you've seen come from it?
Yeah, we have assessors who go out in the community, and it's again in person. We're looking at their whole environment and making sure that they have everything they need to stay healthy and independent in their homes. We have to do it annually just to make sure that there aren't any significant changes and other resources that they need. But we've had assessors actually, because they're in their home, they're able to get them help immediately because they may have had some kind of emergency. So it's really great to be in person.
That's a really cool asset to the program as well as assessing and seeing what other things might fit. I'm so pleased that you guys are on the show and we're talking about some really cool things that you all do. Come back to the second half, okay? Please stay with us while we take a short break. As usual, don't forget to have your pen or pencil ready. During the break and at the end of our show, we'll be running contact information for Pasco County Senior Services, Neighborly Care Network, and the Area Agency on Aging Helpline.
James is 70 and a writer whose joint pain has been a story in itself. His doctor prescribed a new medication that may not be affordable, even with James's Medicare Part D plan. James called Shine. Shine volunteer counselors can guide you to money-saving prescription assistance programs, including a program that helps pay Medicare Part D plan costs for limited-income seniors. Shine costs nothing but could save you time and money. More information is available at 1-800-963-5337.
Welcome back to Aging on the Suncoast. During the first half of the show, Anita Frankhauser and Josephine Benson helped us understand who their agencies are and how they promote better nutrition for Pasco and Pinellas County seniors. Let's continue chatting with Anita and Josephine so we can speak in depth to volunteerism and how critical this is within our senior nutrition programs. Anita and Josephine, welcome back to second half of the show. Thank you so much for not running away. And Nita, I'm going to go back to you, and we're going to start the show off, and we're going to spend a little bit of time glorifying the people that really do a whole lot of different things for these programs over there. But I'm just going to ask you broadly, why do we need volunteers?
Volunteers are our organization. We couldn't serve nearly 2,000 people a year without them. We leverage their expertise from our volunteer board of directors. We have people who deliver meals and pack the meals for delivery. We have people who teach computer classes. And then volunteers really want to stay active and engaged in the community. So it's also a way for them to give back and feel like they're contributing.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess that most of the volunteers are seniors themselves?
Yeah, a lot of them are in active retirement.
Yeah, so they're socializing with other volunteers that might be in their same cohort age, and then also socializing with the seniors that are benefiting from congregate meals or home delivered meals as well. It sounds like a win-win to me. You know?
Exactly.
So if I wanted to be a volunteer, and I said to myself, you know what, I saw the show, and these nutrition programs are look like they're really offering a great benefit. What do I really need to think about before I approach you and talk about my willingness to put my time into volunteerism?
Yeah, I always tell people, think about what you're passionate about. What is your why? Are you really passionate about nutrition and seniors or the elderly? And then also think about how much time you can consistently give, because you end up becoming a lifeline for the clients. They rely on you, and then unintendedly you start to rely on them because it helps you feel a rewarding experience.
Yeah. Do you think that there's that one should investigate or understand what your agency's mission is and values and all?
Yeah, absolutely. You should really be aligned with wanting to give back to the community and seniors and food services.
Yeah. Josephine, anything different than what Anita said?
Very similar to what Anita said. Volunteers, like she said, they should be passionate about what they do, be willing to give back, because those seniors rely on them to help them, especially when they deliver meals or even help serve them meals at their table if they're not able to get the meal themselves.
Yeah, and I think that speaks loudly to the time commitments. You all both
Exactly.
have big jobs. There's many little moving parts, and your volunteers are really plugging in and planning on that. And sometimes, like paid staff, if somebody is not able to make it that day, I mean, you have to kind of fill that void because the show must go on, right?
Yeah.
So, what do volunteers generally look like in Pasco County for your nutrition programs?
Generally in Pasco County, a volunteer, like Anita said, is a retired person. They're passionate about volunteer giving back. A lot of our volunteers, like you said, some are our staff that works for the county. I was one of those volunteers. When I first started in 2008, I elected to volunteer to deliver meals to clients within the community on my lunch hour, and it was very rewarding.
I can see how rewarding it is,
Yes.
because now you're a part of the process.
I'm a part of the process.
I never knew
Absolutely.
that. I never knew that, and that's really great that
Yes.
to hear you say that. I love to hear how people start in this field and,
Yes.
and what it takes for them. So you were working in a different capacity. You chose to
Yes.
allocate your time for volunteerism.
Sure.
And you said you love these programs that much that you wanted to put your professionalism into it as well.
You got it.
Yeah. Any differences in the types of volunteers that you see in Pinellas County?
A little bit. We have some corporations and universities that adopt a route, for example. So the Tampa Bay Rays does a route in St. Pete.
Do they?
And then we recently took on Nova Southeastern University. Their medical students are delivering meals. So it's really neat to see that intergenerational interaction and future doctors getting involved in senior care.
That's right. Yeah, definitely intergenerational activity on there. And you have a Mayor's for Meals, or is it Meals? I don't remember how do you say it.
Oh yeah, March for Meals.
March
yeah,
for-
so we invite local legislators, really anyone in public office, to come and deliver meals in March or any time throughout the year, just for awareness for seniors.
I think that's super important for people to be aware of those and some of the limitations of the seniors that we serve and understand how important these programs are. Josephine, going back to you. What types of activities, what's the roles that you see in Pasco County that volunteers actually play?
Some of the roles for volunteering in Pasco County that we see, we have a person that rolls silverware, we have a person that delivers meals, we have a person that does administrative work by calling and doing our surveys for customer satisfaction. We also have a relationship with Cindy's Pets, where their volunteers provide pet foods to our clients, and by them providing that pet food to our clients, it eliminates the client feeding their foods to their pets.
Yeah, that's cool. So they play a role in your congregate meal program in any way that they can.
Yes.
Yeah, and then your home delivered meal program. Sounds like on the administrative level and the clerical level, sounds like you're really tapping into what their wants are and what their expertise is, and just plugging and playing as you and they see fit into the program on there. Anything different in Pinellas County with the types of roles or that you see with your volunteers?
We have a volunteer that teaches computer classes. They can talk as basic as, this is your keyboard and your mouse, to how to use Microsoft 365. We have volunteers who are entertainers. They sing and play music at our congregate sites. And then I know we talk a lot about the people who deliver, but the people who pack the meals are also really important.
Oh, sure they are.
To get them out every day
Yeah.
on time.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty darn important. It's hard to talk about everything all at the one time. Impact, as agencies and people that work for are always looking at the impact. What type of impact do volunteers bring to Neighborly Care Network?
We have over 1,000 active volunteers, and that brings in about $1.5 million in revenue for our organization.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're able to quantify what that looks like really when it comes to hours and
in-kind support.
And in-kind support for sure on there. Anything different in Pasco County when it comes to impact?
It's a little bit different in Pasco County. We have approximately 50 volunteers. That allocates around 4,400 hours a year, and that's bringing in approximately $120,000 per year.
And outside of quantifying it, we have to qualify the fact that there's a human interaction that it's hard to measure really what that's like. But obviously, if you have some folks that have been isolated for a while, that's a touching way to kind of, you can't really document that, but at the same time it occurs, and then it occurs organically and innately too. Are there positive impacts that these programs play on your volunteers, meaning mutual reciprocity in some sense? The volunteers are obviously giving towards these programs, and there's a positive impact for your agencies, but are they getting something in return for doing the cool things that they do? Anita?
Yeah, absolutely. Volunteers come to us because they're compassionate and they want to help, but they stay because of how rewarding the experience is. People who volunteer regularly are healthier, they have less sick days, lower rates of depression. So overall, it's just a win-win for both of them.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Josephine, anything in your area that you can speak to?
Yes, our volunteers, we appreciate them every year. To show our appreciation, we have what we call an annual appreciation luncheon. We just had our first annual appreciation luncheon since post-pandemic. It was wonderful. The volunteers and seniors enjoyed it. It's our way of showing that we appreciate what they do. Feeding Pasco Elderly also donated gift cards to our volunteers, and they was also provided with a certificate to show their appreciation.
Yeah, I have a random question that came up. I was just thinking about it, but I think it's pertinent, and I think it's probably pertinent to what they volunteers receive in the sense of that. So we talked about isolation, and I think we know just as well as a lot of other folks out there that when COVID and the pandemic played a pretty large role in our lives, that isolation was a real problem in there.
Yes.
You probably had some volunteers that weren't able to do, because they're in the senior cohort, were not able to do the things that they wanted to do. And it's probably a constant for you all to try to acquire those volunteers back or get new ones to meet all the needs that you need from them. Is that a true statement? And have you seen positive things come out from now this person is de-isolated where they were isolated before? Did I make not any sense on that one? The volunteers that you're using that had to isolate,
Okay.
is it positive for them that they are now back into the community doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of the volunteers, they wanted to help and volunteer, but they were not able to due to COVID. Now that we're back at the senior centers, we see some of the returning volunteers coming back. So yes, it's been very positive for them to have something to do now.
Oh, I
Because
bet.
the isolation probably took a toll on them.
I bet it took a big toll on them.
Yes.
Same thing, Anita? I'm sorry, I didn't really ask the question
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite understand. But yes, we have volunteers who are itching to get back to doing their normal activities at the sites with clients. During COVID, we had a lot of volunteers just making phone calls. And so they were really happy to get back and play music at the sites again,
Yeah.
for example.
So let's talk about needs. Josephine, I'll start with you if you don't mind. What are your needs for volunteers right now? Are you fully staffed with your volunteers, or is it an ongoing need for a call to help?
We can always utilize volunteers. We don't turn down any volunteers. The need we have is sometimes for delivering meals to clients. If they have a certain skill, if they can teach something to our congregate members, that's also a need that we're looking for volunteers to fulfill.
Yeah, and you do activities at these sites over there.
Yes.
So some people probably bring some pretty incredible talents. Anita, what needs do you have?
Yeah, especially in the summertime, as our snowbird volunteers go away, we need people to just continue to help deliver while they're gone. But we're always looking for people, like Josephine said, to do activities and bring something new to our senior cafes or congregate sites.
Yeah. So you mentioned Volunteer Appreciation Month, and that's a national celebration to honor and acknowledge volunteers for the work they do. How do you appreciate volunteers through Neighborly Care Network?
Yeah, we've done lunches like they mentioned, but a lot of our volunteers through surveys said they just really want a simple thank you. So last year, for example, we had personalized treats for them that had their names on them when they came to the sites. And then we've had organizations donate gas cards.
Yeah. So and Josephine, thank you. Josephine, I heard that you have 2 large events for them as well.
Yes.
Anita and Josephine, I really want to thank you for coming on the show, talking about volunteers, talking about the incredible things that your nutrition programs do, and the big benefits that they have for seniors. And hopefully I'll get to see you again next year. We hope this month's broadcast was informative. We wouldn't have these resources without great organizations like Neighborly Care Network and Pasco County Senior Services. We also can't thank volunteers enough for everything they do each and every day. We'll see you next month, and until then, please make every use of the food resources we showcased today. And if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, these organizations will gladly take your call.
James is 70 and a writer whose joint pain has been a story in itself. His doctor prescribed a new medication that may not be affordable, even with James's Medicare Part D plan. James called Shine. Shine volunteer counselors can guide you to money-saving prescription assistance programs, including a program that helps pay Medicare Part D plan costs for limited-income seniors. Shine costs nothing but could save you time and money. More information is available at 1-800-963-5337.